No weapon mightier, no job crueler, by J. Wells. The tip of my blade was not quite sharp enough to prick my finger, a dangerous prospect. It needed to be keen enough to do its job today, else I'd pay the price for my neglect. I hone its edge in the way my mother taught me. I speak truths to it. I am young, just turned 12, but I am tenacious. I am affrighted, but I remain capable. The weapon responds in a frenzy, hungrily lapping up my words, making them its own, leaving me with an empty feeling of loss, like those words will never be true again. It yearns for truths, Mother told me years ago, because it has accepted lies for too long in their stead, long enough that it has become infamous for propagating deceit and inaccuracy. Poor creature, Grandmother once cooed, has lost its pride at the hands of the less worthy. Yet I cannot pity it, for it steals mine, but this is the task of my family, the sacrifice we must make. Its name is Veritas, and it is ready. I sheath it and leave my home, headed for the courthouse, where another trial awaits us. Veritas hangs lightly at my hip, eager. This is its purpose, its sacred duty as a manifestation of truth. Myself, I am not so sure this is a joyous occasion. The criminal is a man with a wife and 7 children, accused of stealing a 1/4 bushel of apples to feed his own. It just doesn't seem right. Veritas laughs at me when I express such doubts. They are guilty, and they have lied to escape the consequences. That in itself is enough to die for. That they should argue their point is ludicrous. Perhaps that is true in a way. The damn thing refuses to cease nagging until heads roll. I cross the threshold of the courthouse, and the sword of truth trills merrily in its scabbard. Shaking my head, I exhale a pent-up sigh. Veritas is a bloodthirsty hellion without compassion, and in my opinion has no business serving judge, jury, and executioner. Unfortunately, no one has ever asked for my counsel. Darwin, huddled in the seat of the accused, cowered before us when we mounted the podium. This one didn't stop for mercy, like the last poor wretch did, thank heavens. 'Twas painful to pass judgment on the helpless. At least today the accused was a man of decent standing, someone who would bite back. I rested Veritas on the executioner's table, each member of the prosecution pricking their finger on it, swearing by the truth that they were hapless victims of the accused's actions. They would be the first to call witnesses to the stand. Each name revealed Darwin's guilt, and I pitied him. Once my family represented empathy, allowing me to have saved him. We were the bearers of truth because we were willing to use truth as a tool to right wrongs, while not letting it lord over us. Then the town turned on us. Who could be sure we spoke the truth? Corrupt power took over, and they propagated the image of us being liars and cheats, allowing personal ties to interfere with proper justice. Its holiness should not be left in our hands, they said, if we could so easily disregard its rulings. So Veritas, the sword of truth, ceased to be simply a vessel, and it grew ugly and malformed. Rather than using it to prove their own truths, folk used it to reveal the nasty truths of others in spite. Yawning, I stretched out my legs and prayed this awful trial would end. Even my charge had grown tired of it, and was playing contentedly by my feet, having retired to its true form. I suppose that once truth was beautiful, back when it was used to better people and nations, and to reveal the ugly things hidden in history. Learned men and women loved it, I'm sure, but those days were gone far behind us, lost in the ages of dignity and forgiveness. Now Veritas is hideous in any form. As a sword, it had lost its shine. It was, instead, a dull gray steel with scratches and dents marring what was, Mother had alleged, once a marvelous weapon capable of cutting through all falsehoods. The hilt, before of a fine silk, was in rags, tattered and rotten. When not a sword, Veritas came as an impish abomination, short and spindle-limbed with coarse, brittle hair. Deep-set beady eyes gleam on either side of its grubby, hollow-cheeked face, studying the scene shrewdly. A threadbare tunic covered its twisted, hunched form. On its better days it was childlike and almost cute in an odd way. One could almost feel sorry for Veritas. Honesty was all but gone since the plague hit, and people stole from each other as if they hadn't been neighbors all of their lives. Maybe if we were kinder, less selfish, the truth would be more forgiving. The trial ended after 2 hours of bickering, and Darwin, to the surprise of no one, was sentenced to death. Heaving an exhausted sigh, I carried the sword of truth towards the executioner's stone and waited. Darwin said his goodbyes to his tearful family and came to me, resting his balding head on the stone. I lifted the sword high in the air to allow it to deal its justice. But when the blade came down, it was not where I expected. I smiled. It seems you can surprise me after all, old one.